Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0-Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corbin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Ooh, welcome back to the 3-0-Take presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 389. I'll be your host, Kyle Corbin, and I'm here with my co-host, Nate Reyes. Nate.
Hello, my name is Nate. I'm here to party.
Are you here to buy? You here to sell?
I'm here to sell.
I
know. But I think I'm in the majority here. I am selling geese. And for those who have no idea what I'm talking about...
Okay, yeah. Okay,
that weird goose rogue flying around Dodger Stadium last night, almost getting hit with a ball, doing laps like he's about to do something. Geese are the worst. The worst.
Didn't know where you're going with this, but okay, I got you.
You hear me now, right?
Yeah,
they suck.
That's great.
They suck. Have you ever been on the golf course with them? They're the worst, dude. And they like hiss at you. They stick their tongues out, and it's like a hiss. And they just chase you down. The worst creatures, dude. Ducks, cool.
No, yeah, I'm having
Geese,
deja vu.
trash.
My gut tells me that you have gone on a goose rant before on this program.
It's possible. I will sell every time they make mainstream media, though.
I mean, they're geese. How often do they really make in mainstream media?
What are they doing at Dodger Stadium? What are we doing? Get out. Why is there just one? And where was he? What was he doing? What was he planning on? Get out of here.
Yeah, those geese wouldn't fly south for the winter, right? They're just hanging out. I
guess. Just privileged Hollywood geese.
Yeah, the audacity, man. The geese privilege.
Flying around here. I'm also selling Jessica Mendoza for during that whole call. She's just so obnoxious. So obnoxious. So it's a double sell.
Wow. All right, well,
starting off Thursday hot.
That's fine because I've got the heat for my buy today. I know I'm late to the party and Padres fans will probably rake me over the coals for it. But I recently, and by recently, I mean within the last 24 hours, stumbled across this.
I'm on the go like every month, but it's just for show. You keep it amateur while I keep it pro. I'm about my business while you're about your dough. I'm about my fans while you're about your hoes. You on the game like a buddy knows it comes and it goes. You don't make me head nod, you make me doze. My future is bright and your future is so dim. I'm on the game like Jack when he broke through the rim. So I look through my glasses and what do I see? Your boy B Snell is tearing up this beat. So I'm
Yes.
In rips, knockout, now where is my paper? RP to Frazier and all of my haters. I'ma keep it 100, so hit me on my page. Like Jordan did a game 6 when he hit him with that fader. I'm in my prime like Magic on the Lakers.
No.
I'm buying B Snell on the beat. I knew he had like a little bit of that background, like he was really into like the hip hop and all that, but like I had no idea that this video existed. And he did a music video for this. It's like him and some other dudes, I think from back in like high school, I think. And what's crazy is he's wearing like different hats throughout. And one of them, he's wearing a Rays hat, like the old TB hat, which is pretty wild. So I'm buying it.
When did this come out?
Apparently this came to the surface like years ago.
I had no idea.
I recently saw it because there's been a lot of hype with like the Cy Young race and all that stuff. And it's like there's like these accounts that just no commentary, no tweet, no text, nothing. It's just they post the video in response to like, oh, these are the updated Cy Young odds. So I'm like, we need to bring this up.
I kind of didn't hate it. if we're going to be honest.
I mean, for a high schooler who went on to be like a potential Cy Young winner in Major League Baseball, like not bad. Like
He
I've
did this
certainly
in
heard
high
worse.
school.
Yeah. Yeah, this was high school.
How old is he?
Right now?
He's got to be our age.
Yeah, probably. I'm going to guess 29. 30. December 4th. So he's coming up on 31.
That was pretty good for, I mean, what, when we were in high school? It was 12, 13, 14 years ago. Goodness, that sounds pretty depressing. That's a good buy. I can appreciate the buy, though.
I mean, I had to get the vibes up for our Thursday episode, of course, but shout out to B Snell on the beat. I'm all about it. We do have a voicemail that I want to get to here real quick before we get into some Shohei talk.
Send it.
Talk a little bit about the Padres. They've been making news for mixed reasons, I'll say. Then get into some other dudes that have been making headlines. But before we do that, voicemail.
What up, gentlemen? It is Jacob from Pennsylvania. Forgive me if I sound a little raspy. We welcome in the fall with some allergies up here in the north. But got a couple questions, got a couple thoughts, got a hot take, boiling, steaming hot take. First of all, who are we taking for the NL Cy Young? I'm thinking it's between Justin Steele.
B Snell on the beat.
Between Blake Snell, who has looked dynamic in my mind the last couple games. And third, it is between Spencer Strider. So between I think that's the three it comes down to. I don't think Mr. Peralta makes the cut. But please tell me, who do you think the NL Cy Young is? I think we're close enough to really narrow it down at this point. And if you want to insert someone, please insert someone. Also, my hot take. We talked Ohtani last episode a little bit. You got way too much hate for what you needed to in discussing where we thought he was going. But I'm going to insert my thoughts and say that Zach Gallen and Mr. Corbin are going to persuade him to visit the Diamondbacks next season. And that team could very much look electric. Have a great day, gentlemen.
That was one heck of a hot take.
Holy cow.
One heck of a hot take. I'm down. I would go see Ohtani all the time.
Of all of the teams, and I've heard a lot of them, even ones that make zero sense. Even the takes that don't make sense, the Diamondbacks are not in those conversations. So that is truly a hot take if I've ever heard one.
That's super hot. Super hot. I'm cool with it. I can't see why not. I doubt they fork it over. Yeah,
it's the D-backs. The NL Cy Young, I mean, he's not wrong in the three that it's between. I think that's pretty common knowledge at this point with, 10 games left, I think. I think at this point, it's B Snell on the beat.
I'm on the go like every month, but it's just for show. You keep it amateur while I keep it pro. I'm about my business while you're about your dough. I'm about my fans while you're about your hoes. You want to get everybody knows it comes and it goes. You don't make me head nod, you make me.
I was only gonna play a few seconds, but I'm gonna ride it out at this point. I don't even care.
So I look through my glasses and what do I see? Your boy B Snell is tearing up this beat. So I'ma hit you like Ali did versus Frazier. In the wrist, knockout, now where is my paper? RP to Frazier and all of my haters. I'ma keep it 100, so hit me on my page. Like Jordan did the game 6 when he hit him with that fader. I'm in my prime like Magic on the Lakers.
That's your NL Cy Young winner right there, especially with this last performance he put out. I don't even care that it was against the Rockies. I really don't. To be able to go, what did he go? 7? Did he go 7 his last outing? Shutout ball?
It's typically what he does.
I mean, when you get down to crunch time, Yeah, it went 7. Oh, that's right. No, it was 7 innings and no hit ball. That's right. And they pulled him because of pitch count, but he had 10 Ks.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna say, I was wondering if that was that game where the Rockies broke it up in the 9th, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I got to agree. I think the difficult conversation that a lot of fans are having is that, like, of the list, I think Spencer Strider is the best pitcher. But on the year, I'm going to take Snell as having the better year. Strider is stupid good. I'm not arguing that.
Yeah, I mean, Strider's got the strikeouts.
He just crossed something absurd. Like top 5 fewest games started for a certain amount of strikeouts. I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was 400 strikeouts.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He was like top 5, top 3, something like that of all time. Like that's special for sure. But yeah, I mean, Snell is like, without looking at numbers, I think he's like a full run lower on the ERA.
Yeah, and that's what it really boils down to. Like, if you just want to go super simplistic here, yes, Snell, the ding that Snell gets against his record this year is the walks. Mm-hmm. However, he does not allow that traffic to score. Apparently, he just likes having guys on base to keep him from getting bored.
Yeah.
Strider, on the other hand, has the strikeouts, but his ERA is how. Do we know how much higher it is?
I'm not sure. I would guess a full run at least. But the other thing you got to argue is like the offensive support he's getting with the Braves, where Snell gets none with the Padres. No support. So
that's also very true.
Like how many? And again, it's not. I'm not trying to take away from Strider. I think he is going to win multiple Cy Youngs. But how many innings is he pitching where it's almost carefree? You know what I mean? Like there really isn't a ton of risk involved because you got a 3, 4, 5 run lead.
Snell's at a 2.33, Strider's at a 3.73, so a run and a half.
Run and a half, yeah. 2.33. I mean, that's stupid good. And we're gonna have 2 more starts, maybe at least 1. Possibly 2.
Yeah, definitely 1. When's his you're talking for Snell?
Yeah.
His next start is scheduled for Monday. So
if that creeps
2,
into
he would get 2.
Dude, if that creeps into a 2-2, like come on. That's just nuts. So I'm going B Snell on the beat.
I saw who put it out? Oh yeah, okay. So I saw this yesterday, a tweet from Danny Vietti. It says Blake Snell has lowered his ERA in nearly every start since May. Starting with his start on May 19th, his ERA was at 5.40. And then his ERA lowered every start until he got to August, and it only reached a 2.73 at its highest point in the month of August, and has continued to go down.
It's hard to say a starting pitcher's getting better, getting into September.
Yeah,
there's not too many pitchers that can say that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say he gets 2 because they don't have to worry about any sort of postseason.
Early we'll just make it an unofficial prediction on where he signs this offseason.
Are you asking?
Yeah.
Oh,
just an unofficial, off the record, firing from the hip. Where do you think he goes?
Where did we have him going at the deadline? Baltimore?
Yeah.
I still really like that fit.
Believe it or not, I'm actually going to say Red Sox.
True. Okay. That's actually true.
A new GM, got to make a splash. I could see that going down. Obviously, desperately needs starting pitching. So,
That's a great point. And honestly, the reason I hadn't even considered that was because I was in high mode. But now that that's not an issue,
yeah,
it opens up a whole world of possibilities.
Training wheels have been removed.
Let's talk about, let's just go right into the Padres talk, and then we'll get Shohei on the back end. As I mentioned, Padres making all sort of news recently, good reasons and bad. They're currently on what have they won? 7 straight?
Sure.
They've won 7. They're 8-2 in their last 10. And like, I hate to say it, but they're not mathematically out of it. And I'm pretty sure a handful of weeks ago you said that you didn't want to talk about the Padres again this season.
4.5 back in the division or the wild card.
Oh, certainly not the division. Just for kicks.
Still 3 games. How many are they? 500.
They're 19 back in the division for those keeping track at home. Yeah, so like they've won 7 straight, but this is in the midst of a report coming out the last couple days. I think Ken Rosenthal, Kevin AC, or somebody.
Timothy Rapp specifically wrote the article, I think, on Bleacher.
Yeah, which was referencing the two articles from Kevin Rosenthal and Kevin AC, but just opening up a whole can of worms for the Padres, talking about how there is currently an unfixable relationship between Bob Melvin and AJ Preller, and talking about how there's leadership issues, and it's not, the article was talking about how it's not necessarily about players not getting along, rather it's a lack of leadership. And from what it sounds like it's starting from the top down. Like if you're AJ Preller and you're Bob Melvin and you're not getting along, I have a hard time believing that there would be any sort of urgency to have any sense of leadership in the clubhouse. Like if the folks up top can't even handle it, and you got Bob Melvin, who has a foot in both camps. Like he's in the ear of AJ Preller, AJ Preller's in the ear of Bob Melvin, and then you also have Bob Melvin in the clubhouse. Like that's going to lend itself to some serious issues, and it sounds like that it's not just what we've seen play out this year. Like this is kind of been ongoing, but Manny Machado came under a lot of fire in this article, talking about, well, not so much in the article, but the public response, talking about like, well, Machado kind of thinks a little too highly of himself, but he was quoted as saying something along the lines of, he's like, I don't want to misquote him here, but it was something along the lines of like, I know like who I am as a leader or something. And it sounded like he was the unofficial leader. And I think that that's what you and I had kind of talked about, where you got a guy like Xander Bogaerts coming in who could be a leader,
but given new guy on the block,
right? Given a couple years, but he's not going to be that guy. And he's historically has been the more quiet type of leader. But he is at the same time the type of guy that'll put his arm around you and kind of pull you out of a slump or whatever it may be. But as we've seen, Machado is the vocal guy, and we've seen Soto's name thrown around the mix. I don't think you can assign him any sort of leadership role just because we forget talent.
We forget how young he is, and he's still a little immature, I think, in certain ways. Same with Tatis.
Yeah, definitely. Tatis is in no sort of position to claim any sort of leadership role at this point in time. But the interesting thing that was brought up about Preller in this report was talking about how his approach is basically he just wants to outwork. He wants his team to outwork everybody. He wants his team to just grind harder than any other team in the league. And he believes that that's the key to winning baseball games. And I think where the friction comes into play is you got a guy like Bob Melvin who understands how baseball works and understands what 162 games does to a guy. Like you can't. I was reading that it said that he just wanted to take like BP. He wanted the team to just take BP every day. But like, if you've ever played baseball in a schedule that's more than like a high school length season, it takes its toll. And especially at the professional level, like that's an everyday thing. You need a day where it's just a show and go. Yeah. And I would imagine, I've never played at that level, I would imagine the show and goes are probably more frequent than even in the minors or the college level, because
it's more of like a
grind.
Yeah, like get your body figured out versus like get work in necessarily. Like get your body stretched and feeling good over, and especially when you get to like this stage, last few months in the season, it's like, I got to just make sure my body's ready to go versus like I'm getting in the cage working on stuff. I think mechanically you are what you are at this point in the season. You're not going to be able to change a ton. So it's unrealistic. The biggest thing that I took away from it was, he was labeled as a micromanager. And what you said about he wants his team to outwork everyone else, that's his philosophy, right? Like he wants to outwork everyone else. And it says, even if it leads to burnout for those working under him. And it's like you said, like you have a Bob Melvin who's been around the block, who's won a Manager of the Year award, that like he understands that it's a marathon. He's also a little bit of an old school guy. So you have this micromanager who is on the younger side. Like Preller is definitely still on the younger side of GMs and still has yet to really prove, you know what I mean? Outside of him just going and getting big names and making big acquisitions, he still has to prove himself. So it's an organizational issue. And there was a piece in there saying that, players kind of feel like they're not sure who to go to. If yes, you have a leader in Manny, but like outside of the clubhouse, who do you go to with certain issues? Right? Do you go to Bob Melvin when Bob Melvin is seemingly going against the philosophy of Preller? Do you go to Preller and go up like over the head of your manager? It's just not how it works. Preller wanting to get a bunch of athletes. I think that's what it was saying. Get a bunch of athletes, and we're just going to go out athlete the other team and out ability the other team. Is what the quote said from a former staff member. It doesn't work that way. This isn't basketball. You know what I mean? Like you have guys that fill certain roles, and if those roles are unclear, if you have too many guys trying to step into one role, you have this issue like you have this year.
This is the most like relatable workplace scenario.
Yeah, for
just
sure.
Like the average American, where it's like, I don't like my manager. I don't like my boss. Should I go to like the director? Should I go to like the CEO and just get some sort of resolution to this issue? Because I can't keep doing this. Like I'm getting burnt out. I can't handle the micromanaging. I can't handle this issue, that issue. Like who do I go to? And I'm sure for a lot of people in the workplace, like you can't exactly go to your coworkers because that can only get you so far. And in a situation like the Padres, you're looking around the clubhouse, you're going, Xander's not really going to say anything. Like Soto's kind of just doing his thing.
Right.
It's just unfortunate though, because like it's hard for me to hate on the approach that AJ Preller brings to the table, because I feel like the way society is these days, that's almost like a foreign concept. Like we're just going to outwork, we're going to outgrind. Like
right.
There's so many I don't want to upset anybody. I want to choose my words carefully here, but I feel like there's so many instances now where it's like, how can I increase my comfort? How can I make things as easy as possible? How can how can I do
the least amount of work for the biggest result?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So when you got a younger, like you said, a surprisingly younger guy coming out with this kind of philosophy, it's like, man, I really wish that like the stars could align for the Padres, because that's kind of a rarity. And a guy who's proven that he's not afraid to spend money. I think he applies that philosophy to the way he goes out and signs guys. He's like, I'm not in a position where I can go out and swing or throw or pitch, but I can outwork and out athlete the other peers that I'm around and go out and get such a name, or this name, that name, whatever. Right. And I don't care how much money it costs. I'm going to do what it takes, regardless if it burns me out, if it burns out the people below me. I'm going to go out and do what it takes to build a ball club. And like I said, I can't hate on AJ Preller. I don't understand where the dislike from Padres fans have come from, because you look at Padres Fest,
he's doing everything you're asking for.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Padres Fest 2023 compared to Padres Fest 2020. I don't even remember what that comparison was, but there was like a side-by-side. I don't remember if it was 2022 or a previous year. But like, you can't sit there and don't give me this revisionist history. You can't sit there and tell me that you were out on AJ Preller from day one, because you were lining the block to get into Petco for Padres Fest because you were excited about what was about to happen, or what you were hoping would happen in 2023 based on the names that he brought in, regardless how much or how long he signed them for. But now, because the Padres have seemingly collapsed, I mean, short of this 7-game winning streak, now you're saying, well, Preller just goes out and signs whoever. It's like, that wasn't the song you were singing back in February.
Right.
So I just wish that type of philosophy could mesh and blend better with a guy like Bomel, who is respected around the league, who has, in my opinion, and probably your opinion as well, like the right mentality that you need as a manager. Like, that's a player's manager, and that's what you want in a manager. And to me, on paper, it seems like this should be these should be the perfect ingredients for a successful recipe in Major League Baseball. But as we've seen, it has not panned out that way. And this Padres team is one of the larger question marks that we've seen this year. And in the sense that it just doesn't, I can't compute.
Oh, we're going to look 15, 20 years down the road. We're going to look back and be like, all these names are in the same lineup, and it equated to nothing. And that's what's brutal about it. And what I will say on the player side, though, like Manny Machado we both have slid closer into his camp than when we initially started this.
For sure.
This podcast. He was the inaugural bum list candidate that has now been removed, I think. But the problem is, for me as a leader, it's like it comes off as like, do as I say, not as I do kind of leader. And when you have this mentality that Preller's trying to inject into the roster, into the clubhouse of, let's just outwork everybody, I think everyone can agree that Manny Machado is I'm going to do the least amount physically for that result, right? Like, we've seen this guy jog 90s regularly. We've seen this guy take plays off. We've seen this guy take ABs off. It's just a little different to expect that guy to be the leader.
Well, it's not, we don't necessarily know what his work ethic is like, because we're not there. Like,
sure.
We don't know what it is.
But it comes off that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, to your point, it comes across as a reliance on raw talent, because there's no disputing the raw talent that Manny Machado has.
It's there.
And it's a matter of whether or not he wants to flip the switch or not is when you see Manny Machado really shine. So, yeah, I don't know. Just a tough scenario. And to your point about looking back 10 years down the road, when you said that, the first thing that came to mind is that picture that I posted a week or two ago, where it was a picture of Harper, Trey, and Soto with the Nationals. Mm-hmm. And I think the caption I put was like, should have, could have, would have been baseball's next dynasty. But you have to take that with a grain of salt, because at the time, because that would have been 2018, I believe. Like at the time, you don't know what Trey is fully going to blossom into.
Soto wasn't quite Soto yet.
Right. Soto at that point, like Harper was still the guy on that team. Soto, and it's crazy to think about, but like it's just because of the age discrepancy. But Soto hadn't fully come into it. But at this point in time, these guys are who they are. Like Soto, yes, still young, but like a guy like Machado, a guy like Bogarts, this team, it's less speculation for a team like this than it would be the 2018 Nationals, where it's like, well, we don't really know about Soto.
There's more guys in their prime.
Right. In 2023, we know Soto, we know Xander, we know Manny, and it's still not working out. I don't understand. And in my Facebook memories, I saw it was about 2 years ago to the day where we were on 80 win watts for the Padres back in 2021. And that was like that Manny was on the team at that point. Mm-hmm. And so you have to zoom out a little bit and recognize it's not just this year. Like this, outside of last year's little run there in October, like it's been ongoing for some time now. And that's got to be concerning if you're a Padres fan.
Do you see, we talk about like the leader that's like a Johnny Hustle kind of guy. Do you see a name that could slide in there that could fill that role for them?
I mean, whoever it would be is going to have to be there long term. And if AJ Preller's proven anything, he's okay with that. Like he'll sign a guy long term. That's not the issue. But I don't think this is an issue that can be fixed opening day 2024, because like I said, you could have, if he would have become a little more vocal upon arriving to San Diego, you could look at a guy like Xander, be like, okay, this could be the guy that could slide into that role. And maybe he still could be, but at this point in his career, I don't know if he changes that. I don't know if he changes his style, but whoever is going to fill that role and do it well and not be as wishy-washy as a guy like Manny Machado, because I think Manny Machado is the type of guy that's he's going to give you the leadership when things are going good, or even when things are like mid. But when things start to slide, I don't know if you're going to get that same Manny Machado leadership.
It feels a little negative.
Little hypocritical.
A little bit of that.
So I don't even know who it would be.
Here's something weird. And you can call me crazy. This is definitely thinking outside the box. What if we saw some type of salary swap that got Mike Trout to San Diego? You talk about a Johnny Hustle. That guy puts in hard 90s every time.
But if we're trying to address the leadership issue, I don't know if I look at
He's not
Mike
vocal
Trout,
enough.
I don't know.
That's
I don't know.
the thing, though. Like, if Manny's the vocal and he's the do as I say, and then Trout comes in, he's the do as I do kind of leader.
But would you be okay? Like, I mean, do teams have success when they have like, I mean, for lack of a better term, like co-captains? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I think back to, and it was funny because like just a couple weeks ago we saw that article with, or not article, the interview with David Wells, talking about like, Yankees leadership back in the day, and he was saying like Jorge Posada like once threw me up against the wall and got in my face and like let me know that I was not acting appropriately. And I think like us as Yankee fans, we don't necessarily look back to that era and idolize the leadership of Jorge Posada. It was more of Jeter getting that praise. So maybe there are some guys that can come in. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's a smaller name. Maybe it's someone who is willing to enforce and be that like sub leader underneath Manny Machado. and say, you know, like, I'm willing to go to battle for you too. If we're going to go in the same direction, I'm going to follow you and I'm going to help police the clubhouse with you. So Manny isn't the only guy every time. And I just wonder if maybe they're missing some of those names. Like you said, Xander's new to the block. He's probably not going to do anything quite yet, maybe in a few years. Soto, to me, Soto's just, it seems like he's playing for a contract. He's playing for his big bag. He's got Scott Boras in his ear constantly. So, and Tatis is just doing everything he can to get back on the right side of acceptance. And it's hard for pitchers, I think, to take that role too, because a lot of them are hanging out in the bullpen for the rest of the time.
Or they're out there every fifth day. It's hard to lead every fifth day.
So I just, I think it's a serious, I do think it's a serious look into their structure and see what they can do to fix it. I'm just going to ask you something. So the 3 options that I'm going to give you, both Bob Melvin and Preller return, or Bob Melvin's gone, or Preller is gone. Which one are you taking?
I hate to say this because I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I'm a huge Bob Melvin fan, because like I just don't know. The little I do know, it's good. Yeah. Just about what he brings to the table as a manager. But I would be lying, or I would be a hypocrite if I sat here as often as I did talking about how important I think it is to have front offices, to have GMs, to have owners that are invested and interested in actually winning and putting a winning product on the field. For me to sit here and say, well, I want a guy like AJ Preller out, because I know the contracts from this offseason weren't exactly pretty, like signing guys into their 40s. But I mean, I would almost rather have that. I would almost rather have a guy that's willing to fork over crazy money to give his team a chance. Like the fact that the Padres are on, I mean, what did we say? I mean, they're still on 80 win watch, right?
Yeah, they're 75
and 78. Like we're back to 80 win watch for the San Diego Padres, who are making like $6 billion this year. Like that's not on AJ Preller. You can sit there and say, well, it's the contracts he signed. No, I know chemistry is important, but at the end of the day, like that raw talent has to come out in some shape or form in regards to a win or two. So that's not on Preller. So all that to say, I mean, if this friction that's being reported is legitimate, if it's actually there and it's causing tension that will have potential irreversible effects on future, like the 2024 Padres and beyond, I may just have to say Bob Melvin needs a new home, because
I would agree.
It's just hard for me to turn away that kind of money and a guy that's willing to put it on the table.
I would agree. I think Melvin's out, unfortunately. And just tying a bow on this, I mean, the success that we've seen Bob Melvin have is with a very standoffish, unplugged Oakland A's organization. You know, like I'm just going to throw a team out there and let you do your thing kind of management. And letting Bob Melvin have the steering wheel. So this is a new scenario for him. I don't know if there's any other teams that kind of fit that category. I don't know if it's like a Royals team, or, you know, a team that's just, we got some young talent, but we're not here to necessarily live or die by winning a trophy. So I think he's out. He'll probably have a year off and then back somewhere else.
Again, I don't know Bob Melvin's managerial style as much as other fans may know about him, or I don't know it as well as they may, but you just would think that a more old school kind of guy like him would mesh better with a guy like Preller, who has been extremely vocal about doing whatever it takes. And it just doesn't make sense to me that this isn't working out. So I guess we'll see, but
it's just, this is the way organizations are going now, though. GMs want a yes man in that manager role. You know, they want somebody that's going to trust almost blindly the analytics and what the front office is doing. So, yeah, we'll see. But I do think it's probably one of those couple years off scenarios, and he goes and finds a job somewhere else.
Shohei Ohtani had surgery. He underwent, quote, an unspecified elbow procedure on Tuesday morning. And so the baseball world can expect Ohtani to be good to go as a hitter starting opening day, and then he'll be good to go on the bump in 25. I don't like the unspecified.
Yeah, we're just not gonna
not
gonna disclose the TJ surgeries anymore. That's what we're gonna start seeing now. TJ surgeries are no, because it's such a buzzword, right? It's such like that would blow up. Notice how small.
And well, it's not just that.
This did not come in hot.
It's not just the TJ element of it. It's the fact that this would be his second TJ. That's what's not being talked about. And you can look at reports. It's tougher to come back from a second TJ.
Yeah.
And the crossroads that we're at right now with Shohei's free agency looming, I can't say that I'm surprised that we're just going to be like, well, he had a procedure done. We're not going to exactly say what it was, but just know that he's going to be good to go. Like, come on.
That's TJ. If you're not pitching till 2025, that's TJ. Stop lying. So I don't know. It didn't blow us up. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
This didn't really blow us up. This was somewhat under the radar type of thing, as far as notifications go on our phones and social media and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. My question is it's the biggest question. Is it still over 500 mil? Is that still going to be the contract? I don't know if you saw Stephen A. Smith says no. Says that they didn't
Stephen
win.
A. Smith also said that he couldn't be the face of baseball because he doesn't speak English. So I'm not going to really put much stock into what he says.
Stephen A. Smith has no clue what he's talking about when it comes to baseball. He also said he didn't get anybody in seats in LA. I'm like, that's a lie. Everyone that was there was only there for him. So that's just incorrect.
Yeah.
I bet if we were to check attendance, I would say they're higher than what you would think.
I think I read that the Angels had the 10th highest.
Yeah, there you go.
Average in the league this year.
So don't get me with
home
that.
average, yeah.
Just an idiot. Does he get over 5?
I don't know, man. I feel like
see a short-term deal?
I hope not. Yes and no. I don't want to see a short-term deal because I just want to see how just astronomical we can make this contract just for the sake of like a talking point.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, like I don't want to see yet another contract that people 4, 5, maybe 6 years down the road, people are going, oh man, they've really handcuffed themselves. This is just going to turn out to be one of the worst contracts in baseball. And yes, I know it's Shohei, so it's not like a I don't even know, fill in the blank, like a Stanton-esque contract.
Sure.
But like, think about it. Think of how, like, are we crazy to sit here and wonder like why this continues to happen? Because you look at a guy like Stanton, everybody was so high on Stanton, like, oh, who's going to finally get Stanton? They give him the contract. Didn't work out. Talk about the Angels and the contracts they've handed out. Like, at what point, and I'm not trying to like cross camps here, because I know that I talk about like players needing to be spent on and paid. But like, can we stop with like the 350, 400, 450, possibly $500 million contract talk? Not just with Shohei, but just like across the board, because just think about the guys that have received these contracts and how people are already talking about, well, I mean, this could go down as one of the worst contracts in history. It's like, we can't just keep rewriting history when it doesn't pan out after year 2 or whatever it may be. So
Right.
I understand that it's Shohei, and I understand that he brings a completely different type of value to an organization. And he's going to be, even if he didn't pitch a single, like he didn't pitch a single inning the rest of his career, he's still going to be one of the best hitters in the league. So
Right.
with all of that, I don't know, man, this whole like unspecified thing, I just think that it's more ammunition for these teams that are already they were already
Right.
interested in him, but now you've got the injury, you've got the surgery, now you've got the news surrounding the surgery and how it's like a little shady. Whoever's releasing this information, I don't know if it's his camp or not, but like they're not doing a great job of this
I would
in
agree.
terms of trying to protect the bag that they're after, because every time something like this comes out, it's just, like I said, more ammunition for these teams to be like, yeah, well, I mean, if you're not even going to tell us what the surgery is and you're clearly trying to protect your asset here and not be forthcoming as to what's being done to his arm, we're going to maybe have to take a step back. And then at that point, his camp might start having to scramble a little bit to do what they can to get it as close to the number that they have in mind. And I don't know what that number is, but I don't think he gets, at this point in time, I don't think he gets over 500.
It's over 4. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to think about it like, and it's not like groundbreaking, but you got to think about it in terms of what would you pay him as a pitcher and what would you pay him as a hitter? And like, sure, he's taken a knock on the pitching side of things in that regard, but you can kind of come up with an estimate of what he could be making, at least AAV wise, based on those numbers that you come up with.
He does turn 30 next year, for anyone wondering. I do think it's below 500. I would agree.
Next year will be his 6th year in the league.
I believe so.
Because he came in 18, right? A little bit of a slow start, if I recall, but
Please hold. (2018), yeah. First year.
So
Slow start. That's funny. Still at a 925 OPS and 22 jacks his first year. But I agree. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
you're
MVP
Shohei.
stuff, but
Right.
yeah.
And like he how many games did he have that first year?
104. No.
What did
yeah. 104.
How many did he have in 19? Why do I remember him
106.
I don't know why I remember him having a shorter season out of the gate, but
Yeah.
100.
Yep.
Interesting.
I was chatting with my buddy yesterday of landing spots. And I know everyone is going to the obvious name of the Dodgers. But if that number has dipped down due to whatever's going on with his arm, I don't know if the Dodgers drop their number at all. Don't know if they need to. Don't know if they care. But if it does get into the 4s, that opens up the doors for more teams. It has to. Why not the Mariners? Why not? You talk about the legacy that Ichiro has placed there. He's absolutely going to be a Mariners ambassador to try and get him over there. you have Japanese culture already still, they're still talking about Ichiro. They're still in love with that.
Yeah.
So I looked up payroll stuff. Moving forward, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 6 names making double-digit millions. So making 10 million or more per year. It's only 6 names. We know that Julio signed that big deal, but it's spaced out so much over that 12 years. It's only 17 mil a year. The highest payroll number is Robbie Ray at 23 million, which you could argue you could possibly offload somehow, some way.
I forgot about Robbie Ray. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's fair. Luis Castillo right behind him at 21. Everyone else is much lower. Teoscar is at 14. You can offload that.
Yeah.
That's gone after next year anyway. The rest of the names, I mean, Eugenio Suarez at 11, JP Crawford at 10. This is not that bad. This is an organization that I think could make it happen. And if you space it out, I mean, he's 30 next year. You got to assume he's going to be DHing the rest of his career. So you don't have to worry about the physical stuff outside of pitching. Why not give him 11 years? Why not give him 12? How many guys have we seen that are playing into their 40s that have that contract going into their 40s now? It's happening more and more. Between Verlander and Scherzer getting, I mean, Yu Darvish getting into Bogarts getting into 42, 43 years old. It's really not that bad. So let's just say his paycheck dropped to $450. Space that out over 12 years. That's only 37 mil a year. That team can make that happen.
But is it not, like, are we wrong to assume that his camp is going for just the record AAV? And that would not be a record AAV.
I think it becomes less important at this point. I think if he was fully healthy, yes.
I don't know.
I think it's more about a home. I think it's more about finding a place where you're going to be accepted and you're signing on with an organization that's going to, and this is where the Dodgers come back into the conversation of an organization that's going to commit to winning year in and year out the length of the contract. I don't know if the Mariners are that way.
I don't know. I feel like I keep going back and forth on the leverage that they have because I'm of the belief that the way that these last, honestly, just like month, 2 months have gone, like they've lost a lot of leverage. Oh, some of it out of their control, obviously, just with the injury and all that. But with, like I said, with the way they've handled it, so they've lost a little bit of leverage in that regard. But on the flip side, I'm like, man, when push comes to shove, and you've got Shohei sitting at the table with these teams, and these teams are sitting there going, well, here's reasons X, Y, and Z why we don't believe you're worth 500 million. And then Shohei's camp is going, all right, that's fair. We're going to move on. And then those teams are going, it's Shohei.
I know.
Like, at the end of the day, it's
right.
Shohei.
Right.
So it's like, who really holds the leverage here? Like, does Shohei, even with the injury and being out on the bump for a full season, even with all of that, does Shohei and his camp still hold the leverage?
All right. So then is it the short-term deal again? Maybe it's a 3-year deal. First year of that, you're not pitching. And then you have 2 full years to prove that you are officially still a two-way player.
So what then? Kick the can down the road to get a long-term deal at the end of that is what you're saying?
At 33? It's not that crazy.
No, but if there's ever been a player, I feel like it was a guarantee that it was going to be like a double-digit year term contract, it would be Shohei. And I feel like that's what this whole thing has been building up to, is like, how many millions is it? Like, is it going to be 4? Is it going to be 4.5? Is it going to be $500 million?
I'm going to see. I'm curious if.
That'd be such a, I'll just say it, like, as a baseball fan, that would just be a letdown to see Shohei, like, all this talk, all this hype, all this build up for it to just be like a 2-3. Not saying it's not practical, and it potentially could be a smart move for Shohei to do that, to reestablish himself as the two-way player that we saw this year on the other side of the injury, of course. But that would just be a letdown, man. Like,
I agree.
3-year, $120 million or something stupid. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, well, all right.
Looking at another team that's kind of not the Dodgers, I brought up the Giants contracts. Just for comparison to the Mariners, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys making double-digit millions. So 10 or more million a year. Leading the pack is Jock, making 19. So, yeah, I don't know if they can fork it over.
Jock's only on a, 1 or 2 year deal?
Jock will be done after next year. Some
after
of these names
2024.
Yeah, same with B. Croft, Alex Wood. A couple names fall off. Yeah, you can
talking
offload
about
some
retiring,
of these names.
so
Yeah,
that might be a.
I don't know if that changes
issue.
payroll, but I don't know. Maybe there is a conversation of, let me show you. Give me a couple years, I'll show you what I am again, and just put all these injuries behind us. A bet on yourself situation like we've seen certain guys do. I think it would be a letdown. I would agree. I would like to see a big deal. It's just, who's going to take that risk?
I think the barrier to proving oneself is probably at the lowest it would ever be for a guy like Shohei.
Sure. Versus other players, yeah.
Right. That's not really a tall hill to climb if you're Shohei, because, I mean, he literally has been the best baseball player. Like, removing, like, the noise, the injuries and all that, when he is at his best, when he is playing an MVP form, he is literally the best baseball player. If you could extrapolate that, and I know that's a big if, he's gonna be the best baseball player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's done it for enough seasons to where I think the question mark is really just going to be about how quickly can he bounce back from a second TJ, because if he does, that barrier that barrier is just going to be so small, I would think. I don't know.
Me neither.
Lot to consider, but I'm sure it'll all play out once the off season hits. We'll start hearing the conversations pick back up again. Until then, we got some other names to talk about. Corbin Carroll. Can we take a second to tip our cap to a young man named Corbin Carroll? Becomes the first rookie in AL NL history. Why do I keep seeing that, by the way? Why not just MLB history? Why is it all these records? It's always the first in AL NL history.
I haven't seen. Is that like the new thing?
Am I just not enough of like a baseball historian to understand the difference there? Like, why the discrepancy?
I don't know.
Becomes the first rookie in AL NL history to hit 25 home runs and steal 50 bases. My question for you is, given that we've only seen a very small sample of Corbin Carroll, would you, and we're obviously not going to come back to this, but merely for the sake of conversation, I'm curious where your head's at right now that he's reached this mark. Do you have a comp for what you think Corbin Carroll could be in terms of star power, in terms of name recognition, in terms of being a household guy? Is there a guy that comes to mind? If you could maybe
from a different era?
No, like, is he going to be like it's just the first guy that comes to mind. Is he going to be like a Xander Bogaerts, to where like he is in the upper echelon of his position, but he's not on any covers of a video game necessarily? I mean, I think
that's just the curse of being here in Phoenix.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Because like Paul Goldschmidt didn't get the love he deserved when he was here. Across the league anyway.
True. Yeah.
You know, like he didn't get enough love. As far as a comp goes, I really don't know.
It's just dictated by where he would wind up.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not on a long-term deal, right? He's still on his rookie deal.
No, they signed him. Remember, they signed him in the offseason. Because it
was a 7-year deal. That's right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I'm saying, I mean, I know 7 years is a long time, but we've seen guys play that long elsewhere and still retire as a team, or retire as a star for another team, or go to the Hall of Fame as a player for another team.
Like in the very good star category. Not the elite stars that we see, but like the very good stars in the league. I don't know. There's a lot of names you can put in that very good category. If we go back to like just our last era, go to names like a Torrey Hunter, like a Mark Teixeira. You know what I'm saying? Like names that everyone respects, and you look at him and you're like, yeah, that guy's really good. But he's not like that in that elite status. He's not in the household name. Everyone knows him, even if you're not a baseball fan kind of guy. So I wonder if he's going to fit into certain categories like that. Are those weird names to drop? I feel like that's like the very good star.
Yeah,
but
no,
not.
and I mean, I'd certainly put you on the spot. So like, I'm sure it's tough to kind of come up with names like that quickly. But I feel like Torrey Hunter's a good one, because it's like fans like you and I can look at Torrey Hunter and be like, yeah, that guy was a stud. That guy was a freak. And he knew what he was doing on a baseball field. And we've already seen just in his rookie year, like Corbin Carroll knows what he's doing on a baseball field, and he does what he does well. But whether it's not reaching certain career milestones, or whether it's simply geographic issues,
bias, you just get lost in the mix a little bit.
I could see him ending up in a situation like that. It's a good comp.
I don't know, that's just off the top of my head, but I think, I mean, he's a freak. I was looking at odds yesterday. He's basically run away with the odds of rookie of the year. I know my pick, Kodai Senga, is starting to slip away in that second place, but man, if you're a Diamondbacks fan, you got to be super excited with what he's doing. They're hot right now. They're winning ball games. They're back in the conversation. I'd be very excited with like everything that the Diamondbacks have going on right now, and they just continue to call guys up too. They're calling more guys up. Jordan Lawler coming up. You know what I mean? Like they have names that are just going to continue to just build into what they're going with. So I don't know if I'd put him in that tanking category over the last few years, but it's paid off. They got a whole lot of talent. So yeah, I like him. I do like Lord Farquaad. I will say that. He is fun to watch, man. Balls to the wall.
Pleasantly surprised at the response I got to that post I put out. Like, there are more people than I thought agreed with me. Like, I was glad people could see what I was seeing.
Yeah. It's definitely the hair. For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And like I mean, I know he mixes up at times, but like he'll have like
he's got that goatee
or like the fuzz a little bit. It works well with Laura Farquaad.
The obvious size, yeah.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's like it's getting there. I would say he's getting up there in recognition already. Like Kevin Durant has come to games here, rocking, and I mean Durant wears 7, so him wearing Corbin Carroll's number, like it, there's certain of that, like it's getting there. So I hope he does get to superstar status, but overall I think he's going to be that middle of the pack superstar that a lot of people forget about.
I hope for his sake he can avoid a sophomore slump that so many of these guys tend to run into.
I think just the way he plays, it's almost like he's going to be okay. Like he's going to find a way to impact the game somehow, some way, on the bases, defensively. Yeah. Like I think he's just that kind of guy. So as long as he stays healthy and like his speed remains his main factor, I don't think anyone was expecting this pop though. 25 jacks as a rookie.
I certainly was not.
Let's go.
Hunter Greene becomes the first Red since 2000 to have 14 or more strikeouts in a game. Hunter Greene has turned it on as of late for a Reds team that is desperate for wins down the stretch here in the thick of the wild card hunt. He is 2-0 with an ERA of 1.5, and he's got 35 Ks in his last 4 starts.
Ooh. Yeah, I'll take that all day. Mr. Greene. Yeah, I'm glad he's back. Glad he's healthy. This guy, I just hope the Reds can find a way to like lock some of these guys down long term. Be the face of the franchise moving forward.
Why?
Outside of Ellie.
Well, they got Hunter, didn't they?
I don't know. Did they?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, we talked about it. It was earlier this year. Yeah, 6-year, $53 million.
All right. What?
53? 6-year, $53 million.
That's going to be such a budget deal in a couple years.
Well, let's hope.
I hope.
Yeah.
I hope that the pitching continues to develop and it's not just a thrower,
Yeah, that was back in April. Man, what a deal.
That's a stupid
what a deal.
Stupid deal, but get yours, I guess. How old is he?
Putting me on the spot here with
23, 24.
These age questions. 24. Turned 24 in August.
Old school. He's gonna be hitting the market old school. Where we used to see guys hit the free agency market at 30, 31. It's gonna be like that. So hopefully he can prove himself. But yeah, I would love to see him lead the charge, get them in somehow, some way.
Wow, he was born in 1999. You don't see much of that these days anymore. You don't see
young
stars still
90s.
Still repping the 90s.
Ugh.
And
so
barely at that. August 99. That's crunch time. Talking about age here. Adam Wainwright. What is he? Is he
41, I would say.
41?
Watch him be like 36.
No, he's definitely up there. 42. He turned 42 in August. Notched his 200th career win last outing out, and it was vintage Waino, dude. 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs versus the first place Brewers. I mean, I would have loved to have seen it regardless, but the fact that he didn't do it against some scrub
sure.
Royals team.
Got the standing O he deserved. Everything. I think everything went well. This is. Am I crazy for saying this is the sole reason he came back this year?
Yes and no. I mean, if you're Waino, you're thinking we talked about this. After the way last year ended, you're thinking, I still got a little bit in the tank. And then he comes back for the World Baseball Classic, which I guess he wouldn't have necessarily needed to commit. I mean, I don't know if Team USA does it differently than like other teams around the country, but I'm assuming he wouldn't have necessarily needed to commit to the MLB season in order to participate. But I'm sure if there is any sort of fine print there, I'm sure he just wanted to play in the World Baseball Classic bad enough to where he's like, well, I want to play in this. I've got enough left in the tank, I think, based on how last year went. Let's give this one more run. And
he's in that era of the pitchers that still care about wins. So,
well, I mean, when you're that close to a milestone, I'm sure it matters. He may not care as much as other guys, but I mean, even if you don't care about wins at all, you're going, well, if I could just get to 200, that'd be pretty sweet. But
are we going to see? We're not going to see too many 200s anymore.
Not at all.
Not with guys going 5 1/3.
I mean, we could very well see, I mean, call it far-fetched or crazy, but we could very well see the requirements for a win
change,
just be flipped on their head with the way that the pitching philosophies are going these days. But I don't know. But to your point, not many, unless something changes. But at that point, then we're talking about different eras altogether.
Yeah.
He's the 5th active pitcher with 200 wins. Do you know the other 4?
Well, Scherzer, Verlander. I got both of those, right? I can't see your thumb. Cool.
Yep, got both.
Greinke. No? Yeah, okay.
That was a good poll. I thought that would have been the one to struggle with.
Thank you. Kershaw. Duh.
There you go.
That's the other 4?
Yeah,
that's it.
4.
Look at that.
Well done, man.
Let's go.
Well done. I was impressed.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming up on 1, maybe 2 starts left, but I don't know. I don't want to see him get hit with like 2 more L's, but like at the same time,
I would love to see him just leave right now.
Clean 200 on the books. I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah.
Give him a couple no decisions and call it a season.
Yeah.
Hit us with your post game concert or whatever it is, and right off into the sunset.
Yeah. What a cool dude too. Like he's so, I would love to just sit down and have a conversation with that guy. He seems so genuine, so cool.
I bet you we could get him on. Once he calls it, we could get him on.
I bet we could try.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. Card's got a good one.
That kind of does it for me in terms of topics, but before we do that, weekend series, just running through this real quick. I have my eye on the Mariners and Rangers. I've got Game 1 versus Bryce Miller. Game 1, Bryce Miller versus Dane Dunning. Game 2, Hyun-Jin Ryu versus Zach Littell. Game 3, Brian Wu versus Jordan Montgomery.
This is huge.
As it stands right now,
tied.
Texas and Seattle are both tied for the final wild card spot. And then in the West, they are both trailing Houston by half a game.
This is huge, dude.
That's a big one.
It's a really good one. The Astros are doing their thing too.
That's
what a heck of a division.
Who do you got?
Give me Jays Rays. Less about the Rays. Division wise, they're 2.5 back. So I don't think this is a series that'll make or break that. But same reasons what you're mentioning before with your two teams. They are right behind the Blue Jays. Blue Jays currently have a 1-game lead in that second wild card spot. That is going to be in Tampa. You got Chris Bassett going game 1 against Tyler Glass now. That's the one. That's the one I would tune into, which will be tomorrow night, Friday. Then you got Ryu against Littell, and then Kikuchi against Bradley on Sunday. Just a 3-game set. Curious about Kikuchi. I think he just left his start with some arm issues, but apparently it wasn't arm issues.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm glad you brought that up because that was one of my closing the book items.
Why?
Bro, what are we talking about? Is this a real thing? Let me pull up the post here. There was a tweet from Caitlin McGrath. She said, Blue Jays starter Yusei Kikuchi thinks he'll be fine for his next start after he left the game with cramps. The biggest revelation was that he said it may have been caused by only getting 11 hours of sleep the previous night instead of his usual 13 or 14 hours. What? I'm almost less confused by that and more confused by the people in the comments being like, how does he do that? Oh, I don't know. He's a major league pitcher that throws every 5th or 6th day and has really nothing going on in the mornings that he would need to attend to. Just a thought.
I don't know if I could physically stay in bed that long. I think my body starts to hurt.
Yeah, start getting like bed sores and stuff. Like that's a real concern here, man.
Yeah, you got to have superior sheets and just the perfect pillow.
The temperature's got to be right.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise, I'm either gonna have to get up to go to the bathroom. I'm gonna start getting hungry.
14 hours. That's awesome.
That's not healthy, right? Because they say like it's bad if you sleep too little, but on the flip side, I think you can sleep like too much, right?
I don't think so. I
think you can.
I don't know.
There's like an optimal like window, and I think if you go over that, it starts throwing your system.
I get like certain people have different requirements for sleep. Like I'm one of those people that I need 8 hours. Anything less, I'm definitely struggling. And then there are some people that are like 4 hours, I'm good. That's all I need. Like you're a psycho. But
well, they're lying, but yeah.
14 is like, I'm just thinking back to the good old days where I was like a teenager, played a doubleheader yesterday, had a big Chipotle burrito, and then just slept until 1 p.m. the next day.
And then you wake up to mom patting your leg. Hey, I made you pancakes.
Hey,
just come on out whenever you're ready.
It's lunchtime.
It's like it's almost dinner time, but thank you. Yeah,
what a legend though.
Little tangent here. The people that are like, 4 hours, all I need. You're lying. Like it's scientific. It's proven in science that you need like X amount of hours to operate. Like,
I think those people also like yell at all of their coworkers in the afternoon of that following day. I think all those people are.
Yeah. And those are the same people that like brag about how busy they are, where it's like nobody needs to know these things.
Yeah. Just
go back to bed.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
Yeah, that's so annoying. Been up since 4:30. I don't care. I do not care. Congrats. Here's an award. Get out of my face.
I beat the guy to the gym. I beat the guy that opens the door to the gym this morning. What did you do with your day? It's like, well, I slept. That's what I did. That's what I did.
Psychopath.
A couple other items here before we get out of here. Did you see the Brusdar Graterol mom reunion?
Dude, got me right in the feels.
7 years.
In the feels.
7 years.
Did you see the following one where they met at the airport? The following post? I think it was before the game.
Yeah, I was confused by that, the timing, because
I would
imagine they met up. That was before the game, and then she was able
to looked like the airport, right? I think he was.
Yeah. That was. Oof.
Got me right in the feels. I sent it to my mom. That's just so cool. What I will say is, I think Dave Roberts gets a lot of hate in certain ways about some questionable managerial decisions. But when I saw Graterol go over to the dugout and he's crying and he hugs Dave, and Dave's like, point her out for me. Show me where she is. Like that
And
to
they like
me.
looked up and he was like, there she is. And she was like, ah.
That's so sick, dude.
That was cool. That was
such
cool.
a cool moment. Super, super cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And then lastly here, the Kyle Schwarber 483-foot home run versus the Braves. Bro, that was like literally to Mars.
Bro, even Ryan Howard was impressed. Did you see that?
I did see that. I've seen it up to like the chop house or whatever, but that ball was nuked.
That was big time. Schwabs.
Glad I hung on to him in fantasy. Not gonna lie.
How many singles does he have?
That's a good
Look at
question.
this single home run watch.
He tied it up. He tied it up again the other day, but I didn't see what happened yesterday. It was at 45-45 again. Or not again, but he tied it up. Right now he's got 45 home runs. Oh, it never tells you the singles breakdown.
I know. That's what I was looking at too. It just says hits.
Hold on. Let's confirm.
Well, subtract 18 from.
Hold on. 46. So he's got 45 home runs, 46 singles.
Nice. And 204 strikeouts.
I need him to finish with more home runs than singles. That's the only thing I care about this year.
I agree.
Well, that and the Orioles and Phillies both handling business so we can catch these games.
True.
That's all I got. You got anything else?
That's it for me. Let's have a good weekend. Let's go do it up. Also, just a heads up, there's only 4 games on Monday. So obviously need to tune in for the pod because we're going to help you get through it. Literally 4 games. So it's pretty bad.
That's not good news for people that like watching baseball.
It's not
But
what you
we'll
want.
be here.
We will be here. Love you guys. Don't go chasing curveballs.
We love y'all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.